What do Alexander the Great, Julius Caesar, Genghis Khan, and Napoleon Bonaparte all have in common? They conquered like legends, ruled like kings, and crashed harder than anyone else in history. But here's the twist: they weren't just conquerors. They were full-on characters. One cried because the world wasn't enough. Another literally stabbed democracy in the back. One kept his own death a secret, and the last one thought war was art. So let's unravel the insane stories behind history's four greatest conquerors and find out why their ambition ended in disaster. First up, Alexander the Great, the man who believed he was destined for greatness. Born in 356 BC, he wasn't just a king. He was raised to think he was a god. His mom, Olympias, told him he was the son of Zeus. His dad, King Philip, trained him to lead armies. Oh, and by the way, his personal tutor was Aristotle. No pressure, right? At just 20, Alexander became king of Macedon after his father's assassination. He wasted no time, he wanted it all. By 25, he had defeated the mighty Persian Empire and taken down King Darius. But here's the thing, conquering Persia wasn't enough for Alexander. He kept pushing east, determined to rule the entire known world. But being great came at a cost. Alexander threw his men into brutal battles without rest, even when they begged to go home. His obsession took them to India, where they faced their toughest opponent yet, King Porus. The battle was bloody. Alexander was wounded, his horse, Bucephalus, was killed, and his army lost thousands. When they finally reached the Beas River, his men staged what was basically a mutiny. They were exhausted, homesick, and had had enough of Alexander's wild plans. Reluctantly, he turned back, but the damage was done. Back in Babylon, his health spiraled after heavy drinking and a mysterious fever. On his deathbed, when his generals asked who should succeed him, he replied, "To the strongest." Those three words sparked decades of infighting, tearing apart his empire before it even solidified. Here's the twist: some historians believe Alexander wasn't actually dead when his body was embalmed. He may have suffered from a rare disorder that left him paralyzed but alive, meaning he could have heard the plots of his generals as they schemed. Creepy, right? Next, let's meet Julius Caesar, the Roman conqueror who idolized Alexander so much, he once cried in public because he felt like a failure compared to him. Caesar was ambitious, charismatic, and absolutely ruthless when it came to getting what he wanted. Born in 100 BC, Caesar quickly climbed the political ladder in Rome. But his true genius was in military strategy. His campaigns in Gaul were legendary. He expanded Rome's territory and became a household name. His famous quote, "I came, I saw, I conquered," wasn't just a flex, it was the truth. But here's where things got messy. In 49 BC, Caesar defied the Roman Senate by marching his army across the Rubicon River, declaring war on his own republic. This bold move marked the beginning of the end for Rome's democratic system. By 44 BC, Caesar had declared himself dictator for life. He was living large, throwing lavish games, expanding his power, and basically doing whatever he wanted. But the Senate wasn't thrilled. They feared he was about to crown himself king. On March 15th, 44 BC, the infamous Ides of March, 60 senators conspired to take him down. They cornered him during a Senate meeting and stabbed him 23 times. Even worse, his adopted son Brutus was in on it. Caesar's last words, according to Shakespeare, "Et tu, Brute." But historians think he probably said something more practical like, "Seriously, Brutus?" Now let's shift to the medieval era and meet Genghis Khan, the Mongolian warlord who conquered twice as much land as Alexander and terrified everyone in his path. Born as Temujin in 1162, Genghis Khan rose from humble beginnings. His father was poisoned, his family was cast out, and he spent his youth fighting to survive. But once he united the Mongol tribes, he became unstoppable. Genghis didn't just win battles, he obliterated entire civilizations. He once said, "The greatest joy is to crush your enemies, see their cities burn, and take their women." Yeah, not exactly subtle. His empire stretched from China to Europe, but his death remains one of history's greatest mysteries. Some say he died from a plague, others believe he was shot with an arrow, and one story claims he was fatally injured by a princess he had captured. Before dying, Genghis ordered his death to be kept secret. His funeral procession slaughtered anyone who crossed their path, ensuring no one would know where he was buried. To this day, his grave remains undiscovered. Finally, we've got Napoleon Bonaparte, the man who turned war into an art form. Born in 1769, Napoleon's rise to power came during the chaos of the French Revolution. Unlike the others, Napoleon wasn't born into royalty. He was a self-made emperor who saw war as his canvas. He once said, "I love power, but I love it as an artist loves their masterpiece." Napoleon was a strategic genius. He could remember every detail of his army, where they were, what they needed, and their strengths. His swift, calculated moves crushed his enemies, making him the undisputed ruler of Europe for a decade. But his ambition got the better of him. In 1812, he launched a disastrous invasion of Russia, losing thousands of men to the harsh winter. By 1815, his enemies united against him at the Battle of Waterloo. Captured by the British, Napoleon was exiled to the remote island of St. Helena. He spent his remaining years in denial, holding fake court and clinging to his former glory. He died in 1821, his last words a haunting echo of his life. France, the army, Josephine, Alexander, Caesar, Genghis, and Napoleon, they ruled the world. But in the end, the world ruled them. Their ambition was their greatest strength and their ultimate downfall. So what do their stories teach us? Maybe that sometimes knowing when to stop is the real key to greatness. Enjoyed this dive into history's wildest conquerors? Smash that like button, subscribe, and stick around for more crazy stories from the past. You won't want to miss what's next.